interviews, live analysis, expert discussions on
is the transition news on Atlantic Television Network. The National Emergency Management Agency has warned residents of Rivers State of looming floods within the next 4 weeks. The South-South Zonal Coordinator of NEMA, Adebi Razak, gave the warning on Sunday in Port Harcourt. According to him, NEMA had already begun preparing residents to mitigate the impact of the floods as the intensity of rainfall increases in the South-South, particularly in Rivers State, after visiting Ahoda West, Ahoda East, Andoni, Ndoni, Obiakpo, Oyibo, and Thai local government areas, as well as coastal areas that are likely to be impacted, adding that Thai has experienced flash floods and 2 internally displaced persons camps have been identified in the area. The South-South NEMA boss said that a significant water rise in the region was imminent, especially as heavy rains in the north are draining into the South-South, adding that NEMA had already started stockpiling essential items to support local authorities if the need arises. The state coordinator also said that the agency was working closely with the Rivers State Emergency Management Agency and advised the local government councils to mitigate the impact of the impending floods. Deputy Inspector General of Police Frank Mba has said that orderlies and VIP protection will be deactivated 48 hours to the Edo State governorship elections. Mba said only Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy will be allowed to keep their police protection during the next week's governorship elections. He spoke during the Edo State Security Town Hall meeting on Sunday. The Deputy IGP also disclosed that the Edo State borders will receive special attention from the police ahead of the governorship elections. The Edo State governorship elections holds on Saturday next week with Asue Igodalo of the PDP, People's Democratic Party, and Monday Okpebolo of the All Progressive Congress APC and Olumide Apata of the Labour Party as the front runners. On Saturday, Obaseki had declared that the governorship elections will be a do-or-die affair. This comes as the governor refused to sign the peace accord. With the development, Edo North Senatorial District Senator Adams Oshomole and others will be in the state without police protection during the elections. And moving on, analysts have expressed disappointment following Governor Obaseki's do-or-die campaign statement. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network's program Open Air, a political analyst, Ndamzi Ekulo, described the speech from the Edo State governor as undemocratic and lawless against the Code of Electoral Ethics and Conduct.
It does not show that Obaseki is democratic enough, because if he is, he shouldn't have made such a statement that the next week Saturday election is a do-or-die affair. And he even went ahead and threatened death. That is unacceptable, because we are only jostling to make sure that we reside in a saner society.
Meanwhile, Ugochukwu Ifeanyi described Edo State as being in the eyes of the storm.
You recall that the Commissioner of Police has been redeployed and someone else has taken charge. You will now know that the police want to mobilize 35,000 troops or personnel as if we are at war, and we have other places where we need them. So Edo State is in the eye of the storm, and Obaseki knows this. And Obaseki, having known that he is alone, his man alone, the Nyesom Wike that Hideto helped him in ascendance to power for his second tenure, is.
This is coming as Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has described Saturday's governorship post to elect his successor as a do-or-die affair for his party, the PDP. Speaking at the party's rally in Benin, Governor Obaseki said that the election is a do-or-die. If they do, we will die. In view of the upcoming Edo State governorship elections, the Inter-Party Advisory Council has urged stakeholders not to view the election as a war or a do-or-die affair. The national chairman of IPAC, Yusuf Dantale, in a statement on Sunday after a stakeholders meeting, explained that the exercise is intended to select leaders who will promote good governance, accountability and development, and advise all those involved in the elections to prioritize peace, equity and justice, and also called on stakeholders in the off-cycle elections to collaborate to create an environment conducive to credible elections. He reminded the stakeholders that the election is not war, but simply an exercise in a democracy where voters choose leaders who will promote good governance, accountability and development, and urge all stakeholders to adhere to the principles of democracy, respect the rights of others, and prioritize the interests of Edo people and Nigeria in general, calling on all to join them as they work towards deepening democracy in Nigeria. He also called on voters in Saturday's governorship elections to come out en masse and exercise their civic duties without hindrance, and also encourage the electorate to vote for candidates based on their manifestos, track records, and leadership qualities, and urge voters to reject any form of vote buying as it undermines the integrity of democracy, urging them to recognize the will of the electorate is sacrosanct and must be respected. The decision to choose leaders, according to him, rests squarely on the shoulders of the people, saying that that is what makes democracy unique and should be a selfless service to the people, stressing that no responsible leader would want to force themselves upon the people, and appeal to the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies to remain neutral and impartial, pointing out that their roles are critical in maintaining the trust and confidence of the electorate. Anambra State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps said that an accident involving two vehicles at Zone 13 occurred along Onisha-Nteje-Awka Road, killing two people. The sector commander of the corps, Joyce Alexander, who confirmed the accident to newsmen in Awka, said that the accident could be attributed to brake failure and loss of control. She said that the accident involved an unidentified driver of a car and a driver identified as Sari Bapa, with a tanker collided and resulted to the death of the victims. While commiserating with the families of the dead, the sector commander cautioned motorists to avoid disobeying traffic rules, urging them to ensure that vehicles are serviced regularly. Enugu State Governor Dr. Peter Mbah has given security agencies in the state 48 hours to fish out the killers of the chairman of Obete Main Market Traders Association, Chief Stephen Aniago, vowing that no one would commit such heinous crime in the state under his watch and go scot-free. Mbah also commiserated with the deceased family and Obete Main Market Traders Association, stressing that the market chairman, Aniago, was gunned down by yet-to-be-identified assailants at the outskirts of Enugu Metropolis on Saturday evening. Reacting to the development on Sunday, Mbah said his heart grieves over the brutal murder of the chairman of Omata, the late Chief Stephen Aniago, and described it as a sad loss not only to Omata as a body, but also to the entire state, and assured that security operatives will use all the technology and resources to pursue, track down, overtake, and defeat such workers of wickedness. Commiserating with Chief Anyago's family, community, and Omata, the governor said that the late market leader served his community, the association, and Enugu State creditably. Enugu State government has banned unapproved medical outreaches in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Ikechukwu Obi, who disclosed this in a statement in Enugu, said that individuals and organizations intending to engage in medical services, including other medical outreach and health outreaches, should apply and obtain permits from the ministry. According to him, the ban was in line with Governor Peter Amba's efforts at ensuring the safety and well-being of the people of the state, adding that investigations reveal that some of the products used for medical outreaches are either expired or nearing their expiration date, and it has led to the health complications of beneficiaries of such outreaches. Obi also said that the ministry was concerned about the qualifications of practitioners usually engaged for the job. And on to Lagos State. Officials of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Services and the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency are currently attending to a fire outbreak at the Oko Baba Plank Market in the Ebute Meta area of the state. An ex-user, Adedeji Olalekon, tweeting as Stylo Media, disclosed on Sunday that the fire also affected the shanties in the market, confirming the incident in a tense message on WhatsApp. Lasema spokesperson Nosa Okumbo said that the emergency responders are at the scene carrying out a search and rescue operation. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Nyesom Wike, has advised residents to always embrace peace and unity in every situation. In his message on the occasion of the Eid al-Maulud on Monday in Abuja, Wike said that this day serves not only as a profound reminder of the virtues, values, and teachings of the Holy Prophet, who embodied compassion, humility, and justice, and is also an opportunity for them to come together as residents of the FCT to reaffirm their commitment to the values of tolerance, love, and kindness that daily interactions, fostering harmony and understanding among the diverse communities in the FCT. Wike also advised the residents to imbibe the virtues of patience, tolerance, and a renewed commitment to the development of the FCT, noting that the progress and prosperity of the FCT depends on our collaborative efforts, adding that together they can build a society where everyone thrives in peace and security, just as Prophet Muhammad envisioned a just and equitable society. Wike, however, admonished the FCT residents to also take a moment to pray for our nation, Nigeria, and her leaders at all levels as they strive for stability, growth, and the well-being of all citizens. He also took a special occasion to reaffirm the FCT administration's unwavering commitment to meet their obligations to the valued citizens of the Federal Capital Territory. He also called upon the residents to meet their obligations to the government and society and continue to contribute their quotas to the growth and progress of the FCT. He also expressed his gratitude to the law enforcement agencies and all essential service providers who continue to work tirelessly to keep the FCT safe and functioning. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has called for a reduction in the cost of humongous scale of industrial activities at the quarry, including the production of gravel, stone dust, and asphalt, amongst others, for construction of the project. The minister, who disclosed this during his visit to the Zebased Limited quarry, the biggest quarry located in Kubwa, Abuja, wondered why contractors still quoted exorbitant costs for construction projects in the FCT.
First of all, it is a factory in FCT, and the managing director has always invited me to come to see the factory, which is the biggest quarry in West Africa. And I've not been here before, but I'm actually glad taking the opportunity to look at the environment and see what they are doing. That shows that ordinarily the cost of construction ought not to be very expensive, particularly in the FCT. Apart from the equipment that are being imported, that are used for this quarry, the raw material is available here. And I wonder why contractors will be talking about cost of aggregate as if these are imported. They are not imported, they are made here. So I really want to encourage the company. It's really amazing that we have this type of manufacturing going on here. And look at for what he said, they have over 800 persons who are working directly here. This is the same company that is trying to carry out the industrial park at Itu, and which we are going to give them all the necessary support. As at yesterday, I've sent out the letter to the Ministry of Finance to focus on the tax credit to enable them carry out the other one-way carriage to make it a double carriage, which is being done by Salidi Construction Company. I would not lie to you. I'm really encouraged what I've seen. I'm really very encouraged. My only
Wike expressed concerns over the environmental impact of the quarry, saying he has been reassured by the managing director of Zebased that the environmental impact assessment has shown that the company has adhered to the approved standard.
There's an environmental impact assessment, which is said they are up to standard, there are no comments. I think it's mind-boggling and very, very impressive. Slow as regards to cost of rent houses. I mean, it's the market forces. You are aware that there are a lot of everything has actually increased in terms of cost. If you are saying that the house has been built for years, the man who built it did not do that, he will not make profit at the end of the day. If you build a house for maybe you have $2 billion to build an estate, you don't expect that you will make by that $2 billion in 10 years' time. Probably even in 10 years' time he has gotten his money. You now want to start making a profit. I don't agree with people who are always complaining about rent increase. There are all increases in everything today. So that should not be so good that you want us to make a law to say that a 2-bedroom flat should not be more than 50,000 naira, for example, or 100,000 naira. I don't think you're encouraging the investors. That's not our major problem now.
The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has extolled the efforts of the immediate past FCT Commissioner of Police, Benedict Igwe, who was recently promoted to the position of Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone, and the former Director, Department of State Security, FCT Command, Assistant Director General Ado Muazu, for their effective services to the FCT in combating security challenges. Wike commended the security experts during the sent-forth reception in Abuja adding that their promotion is in recognition of their hard work and commitment to service to the nation. Let's listen to him.
Give God the glory that people who worked with us have today been promoted because of their hard work, because of their commitment to service to FCT and the nation in general. I've always said that people who are committed, people who make sacrifice, that I don't believe it's only when you die, people will honor you, people will reward you. While you are alive and you have worked, you should be remembered. And that is why we said, these two gentlemen who have worked with us, to make all of us sleep well with our two eyes closed. It's important. We honor them. We thank them for their services. I'm not one of those who like to praise people. But when you see the reality that somebody is committed to his work, that somebody is willing to service his nation for keeping him alive, to be able to be promoted to AIG, and to come here today with his family for this recognition. The assistant director was very quiet, but very committed. I thank God, and I thank the new DG of the State Security Services for seeing him, finding him worthy to be promoted and for him to work at the national level. Two of them have not left FCT. The moment you do well, people will recognize you. People will thank you. Everything must not be money. This recognition, money cannot buy it. And this is what everybody will pray for, that their services are required. I want to thank other security agencies, the Major General that's there, the Brigades of Guard, or the Air Force, all of you, that this work wouldn't have been easy, but for your cooperative, collaborative efforts in making sure that FCT is safe.
Earlier, AIG Benedict Igwe thanked the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike for the passion in ensuring the protection of lives and property.
As we gave the instruction, he supported us without fear or favor. He supported us with the work. And that is why, when my people called me and said, why are you always in the bush, on patrol, in the night? I said, because the minister is equally on patrol in the night. The minister, you see, is equally on patrol in the night. You may not understand. That's the truth. For those who know him. Sometimes we crisscross each other. And when you are working with such a person, you should know, I'm a Christian. If you go to Psalm 121, verse 4, the Bible told me that he who keepeth Israel neither sleeps nor slumber. So, I regard Abuja as my Israel, because the minister equally regarded Abuja as his Israel. Because he who keepeth Abuja will neither sleep nor slumber. If you sleep, the kidnappers will enter. If you slumber, before you wake up, the bandits will take over. That is Abuja for you. So we neither sleep nor slumber up to today that I'm standing here, including himself. Me and the Ado and the Commander Gas Brigade and our other brothers in the Security Council, we agreed to work jointly together. I want to inform Abuja residents. I am still around. I told the criminals yesterday or day before yesterday when some people were interviewing me. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm around. And now that I have more powers, I don't know where you will run to. Now that I have more powers to do something, if you know where you want to pack and go, you better start now, because I am now an AIG. So I have more power now. I have more power now to safeguard Abuja, to supervise what is happening in Abuja. So I want to assure the residents and people of FCT that you are in safe hand with the Minister of FCT. As far as he's concerned, he will still give us support, and the FCT will be safe.
Federal Capital Territory Administration has provided free medical services for over 3,000 residents in the Buhari area of the FCT as part of the Renewed Hope Medical Mission. The scope of the medical services provided includes health promotion, antenatal care, immunization services, free HIV screening, screening for diabetes, hypertension, and sickle cell diseases, as well as free dental health services, nutritional assessments, distribution of cooking gas and fertilizers, amongst others. Flagging off the free medical outreach in the Buhari Area Council, the FCT Minister of State, Dr. Maria Mahmood, stressed that the FCT administration was fully committed to meeting not just the people's health needs, but also the needs of the residents of the FCT, with the best health services. The minister used the occasion to speak on the importance of the ANC attendance, exclusive breastfeeding and immunization in preventing childhood diseases such as polio, tuberculosis, pneumonia, pertussis, as well as diphtheria, measles, and the importance of screening for HIV, diabetes, and hypertension, amongst others. People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State has zoned the party's chairmanship seats to Jema local government area of the state. This followed the decision of the Kaduna South Senatorial District Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party, headed by the former National Legal Advisor, Mark Jacob. The resolution came after a meeting by the nine-member committee's report unanimously consented and adopted the recommendations that also zoned the PDP vice chairman and women leaders positions to Kagago and Jaba council areas, respectively. The Mark Jacob-led zoning committee requested the leadership of the zone to set up an elder committee led by the former Deputy Governor, Ambassador Nuhu Audu Bajoga, to meet with the party's chairmanship candidates to appeal to them to accept the outcome of the zoning arrangements, as it is constitutionally aimed at ensuring even and fair distribution of party positions for inclusive politics across the zone and the states at large. No fewer than 40 persons were reported to have lost their lives in a boat mishap in Gumi town, Zamfara state. An eyewitness, Musa Ahmed, said that the deceased were going to their farms in the early hours of Saturday when the boat they were in capsized and sank in the river. He said that the Emir of Gumi, Justice Lawal Hassan, retired, has sent a condolence message to the families of the boat mishap victims, adding that there were 53 farmers and children in the boat and only 12 were rescued alive, including the captain of the boat, while the remaining 41 reported dead. He told newsmen on phone that the sole administrator of Gumi local government area, Naala Musa, said the boat was overloaded. Cholera outbreak in Yola North Local Government Council in Adamawa State has resulted in the death of 4 people and the hospitalization of 36 others. The executive chairman of the council, Jibrin Ibrahim, who disclosed this to journalists during a visit to the victims at the Infectious Diseases Control Center in Yola on Sunday said that the outbreak occurred in Alkalawa, Ajia, and Limawa wards and is believed to be due to contaminated water sources and flooding. He said that the outbreak occurred in Alkalawa, Ajia, and Limawa wards within the council, and 20 cases were initially recorded, but the number quickly rose to 40, with 4 succumbing to the disease, stressing that a significant number of patients have been stabilized and are receiving medical attention from health workers. The executive chairman commended the swift response of the health workers, the Red Cross, and international partners in addressing the outbreak, and attributed the suspected cholera outbreak to contaminated water sources exacerbated by flooding in some areas. Ibrahim urged the public to maintain a clean environment, drink potable water, and wash vegetables and fruits thoroughly before consumption to prevent further spread of the disease. Nigerian Air Force has commenced airlift missions to transport relief materials to victims of flood disasters in Maiduguri and its surrounding communities. A statement by the Deputy Director of the Public Relations and Information Group, Captain Kabiru Ali, indicated the materials donated by the Nigerian Customs Service are aimed at alleviating the suffering caused by the floods, which have disrupted the daily lives of residents, destroyed properties, and displaced millions. The airlift mission, which had the first batch of relief items comprising 300 bags of 50 kg rice, was successfully delivered to NAF base in Maiduguri via the NAF C-130 Hercules aircraft for onward house-to-house distribution. Meanwhile, NAF has launched a medical outreach initiative to support flood victims, in addition to the feeding of over 2,000 internally displaced persons, adding that the NAF's airlift mission and medical outreach are part of a broader effort to support national disaster response initiatives and highlight the critical role of military assets in humanitarian crisis. And the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has directed that the operations continue as needed, ensuring that both relief materials and medical and outreach and reach all affected areas, as the NAF will persistently collaborate with other security agencies to mobilize human and material resources for the support of flood victims. In response to the floods that have displaced thousands of people in Maiduguri, Borno State, officials from the United Nations and humanitarian organizations have pledged immediate support for the affected population. A statement on Sunday by the National Information Officer of the United Nations Information Center, Oluseyi Soremekun, said that the floods caused by the collapse of the Alau Dam on 9th of September have left thousands homeless, exacerbating an already dire humanitarian situation in Borno State. Led by Mohammed IV, the United Nations resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, a high-level allegation of United Nations agencies, non-governmental organizations, and the Red Cross Society visited Maiduguri and said that the team met with affected residents, government officials, and Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, to assess the damage and outline immediate support measures. The UN also said that many people affected by the floods, reported to be the worst in 30 years, already had humanitarian needs prior to the disaster, having been displaced multiple times by conflicts and insecurity, and are now even more vulnerable, adding that the disaster had forced thousands into overcrowded relocation sites, with many lacking the basic necessities such as food, clean water, and shelter. The delegation promised swift action to alleviate the suffering of the displaced families, including the provision of food, clean water, sanitation facilities, and shelter after the flood have also dealt a severe blow to the agriculture in the region across Nigeria, while more than 125,000 hectares of farmland have been destroyed just before the harvest season. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has donated the sum of 100 million naira to assist the victims of the recent flood that ravaged Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Abubakar's donation was made known in a statement issued by the media advisor, Paul Ibe, on Sunday. The 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in his visit also paid a courtesy visit to the state governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, at the government house, where the donation to the flood relief effort was announced, while the National Emergency Management Agency said more than 23,000 hotels and households have been hit by the rapid rise of waters following the weekend rupture of the Alau Dam on the Ngada River, 20 kilometers south of Maiduguri. According to the United Nations Human Rights Refugee Council and Maiduguri Metropolitan Council residents, the flood began after the dam overflowed following heavy rains, leading to the town's worst flooding in 30 years. Nigerian Correctional Service has declared 281 inmates missing from the Medium Security Custodial Center in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The service said that the incident occurred after an evacuation process in the aftermath of the flood incidents in the state, while 7 inmates were returned to the center. A statement on Sunday in Abuja by its spokesperson, Umar Abubakar, said the service released the details of the inmates, including their biometrics, adding that the service is working in synergy with other security agencies while deployments have been activated to look out for them. You are watching The Transition on Atlantic Television Network. We'll return after this break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to Transition News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned to Nigeria over 2 weeks after a visit to China and the United Kingdom. In a video released by the presidential spokesperson, Dada Olusegun, the president has seen alighting from the Nigerian Air Force at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, on Sunday. Olusegun wrote that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has returned to Nigeria after his working visit to China and the United Kingdom. The president was welcomed by his cabinet members, and including the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Recall that Tinubu departed Nigeria for China on August 29, 2024, before proceeding to the United Kingdom. Prominent northern leaders have blamed the scourge of out-of-school children on the failure of the state and local governments to make sufficient investments in basic education. The leaders identified indoctrination and insurgency as some of the factors responsible for the millions of out-of-school children in Nigeria, particularly in the northern region. According to 2023 statistics from the United Nations Children's Fund, there are 10.2 million and 8.1 out-of-school children at the primary and junior secondary school levels, respectively, making Nigeria home to the highest number of children out of school in the world. A member of the House of Representatives, Al-Hassan Doguwa, lamented the state of basic education in the country, adding that though the federal government has done a lot in reviving education at the level, and urged the state governments and governors to also discharge their responsibility by their spelled-out jurisdiction as an independent tier of government by allowing the local government councils to also function accordingly. Doguwa, who represents Doguwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency, Kano State, also said that the rise in insecurity in the north is partly to blame on the growing number of children roaming the streets rather than being in school, and lauded the federal government's efforts to address the challenge, adding that the federal government is committed through the creation of necessary legal frameworks to enable the Tinubu administration address some of the teething educational problems in the country. As Muslims observe Eid al-Maulud tomorrow, the People's Democratic Party has urged the All Progressive Congress-led federal government to reassess all policies that negatively affect the people and focus more on citizens' welfare. This is coming after the federal government has announced Monday as public holiday to allow Muslims to celebrate Eid al-Maulud. In a statement on Sunday, PDP's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunaba, urged the federal government to address wasteful spending, tackle corruption, and focus resources on projects that directly benefit Nigerians, and also urge Nigerians to use the occasion to reinforce their hope in the Almighty Allah for direction, as well as care for one another, especially at this critical time when millions of citizens have been subjected to misery, hopelessness, and utter destitution as a result of bad governance by the APC. The opposition party encouraged Nigerians to stay calm and hopeful and to use the Eid al-Maulud as a time to show love to one another while earnestly praying for divine guidance in the nation's affairs, adding that most Nigerians cannot afford to celebrate and enjoy with their loved ones on an occasion as significant as Eid al-Maulud. The PDP council's leaders, whose decisions and policies inflict hardship and pain on citizens, to use this occasion for deep introspection. The PDP charges the federal government to end profligacies, curb corruption, and remain sensitive in prioritizing the need of the citizens by channeling resources to projects and programs that have a direct bearing on the welfare of Nigerians. And now to some business reports. Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria have blamed the low turnout for the registration of the point-of-sales operators across the country on the inability of the Corporate Affairs Commission to outline considerable guidelines. The federal government, through the CAC, had previously set a 2-month deadline for POS companies to register their agents, merchants, and individuals with the Commission in compliance with legal requirements and the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria to reduce fraud within the system, combat kidnapping, and payments of ransoms. The registration deadline was initially scheduled for July the 7th, 2024, and later shifted to September 5th, while after the registration deadline, the CAC expressed concern over the inadequate compliance with the directive despite the large number of POS operators in the country. Reacting to the CAC statement, the national president of the association, Sarafaddin Pasasi, described the move by the CAC to clamp down on the association's members who were yet to register with the commission as illegal and frustrating. Meanwhile, the director of press, Dominic Inyang, has insisted to remain silent on the matter. Analysts have described the deal between the federal government and Dangote's refinery on crude pricing and distribution to work towards reviving the nation's refineries. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network's program ATN Sunday, a socio-political analyst, Emmanuel George, advocated for the maintenance and sustainability of the country's existing refineries in order to adequately ameliorate the looming hardship occasioned by the incessant hike in fuel price across the country.
Let's play politics with it. What stops the governments, the federal governments, what stops them from maintaining the existing refineries and building more refineries? When was the last time the government built a refinery, functioning refinery? Most of our young people in our mangroves.
As the federal government has disclosed that the supply of petrol from the Dangote refinery will commence shortly after both parties reached an agreement in pricing and supply, and the NNPC will remain as the sole off-taker of petrol from the refinery, with other marketers getting the product from the National Oil Company. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Bola Tinubu requesting a reduction in the petrol price from 845 naira per litre to 600 naira per litre. The organization, in a suit by Serap's lawyer Ebunola Adeborua at the Federal High Court in Abuja, is challenging the president over the failure to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to reverse the apparently unlawful increase in the pump price of petrol. The lawsuit also addresses the failure to investigate allegations of corruption and mismanagement within the national oil firm and listed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi and the NNPCL as respondents. Serap also calls for the prosecution of anyone suspected to be responsible for the alleged corruption and mismanagement in the NNPCL, provided there is sufficient admissible evidence and to recover any proceeds of corruption, stressing that the increase in petrol prices is causing immense hardship among Nigerians. This is coming after the federal government, through the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, in Abuja, said that the NNPCL would be the sole buyer of petrol from the refinery, and it will follow the national oil firm's statement that it was not the exclusive off-taker of products from the Dangote refinery, and the refinery was free to sell its petrol to any marketer, stressing that the increase in petrol prices constitutes a fundamental breach of constitutional guarantees and the country's international human rights obligations. Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning and the Ministry of Finance says that the strategic coordination of policies and payments in Nigeria, particularly in addressing national financial commitments, is being resolved with the private sector. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, disclosed this while highlighted the highlighting the ongoing collaboration between the ministries to ensure the national finance obligations were met in a timely and efficient manner. Represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Vitalis Obi, Budget Minister underscored the importance of policy frameworks in addressing issues of delayed payments to manufacturers and other critical sectors, and stressed that swift action will be taken once funds were approved for disbursements to solve pressing national issues. He said that the summit provided an opportunity for top policymakers, corporate leaders, and other stakeholders to exchange ideas and build a consensus on strategic policies that will benefit the country, adding that the collaborative efforts between the government and the private sector in organizing the summit were essential for fostering Nigeria's economic development. The minister also addressed the financial strains affecting manufacturers and other sectors that rely on timely payments. National Association of Telecommunications Subscribers has appealed to the Nigerian Communications Commission for an extension of the NIN SIM linkage deadline from September 14th to September 30th. The national president of NATCOMS, Deolu Ugubanjo, who disclosed this on Sunday, said that the extension was needed due to challenges with the National Identity Management Commission's portal, adding that the NCC had set a deadline of September 14th, 2024 for all mobile users to link their SIMs to their national identification numbers, and stressed that the importance of the NIN SIM linkage for improving digital security and reducing fraud and cybercrime. Ogubanjo said that the 2-week extension was necessary for NIMC to increase the capacity of its portal, while the telecom operators at the customer centers often struggle to upload information on the NIMC portal, as well as the difficulties in uploading on the NIMC portal had frustrated the process and caused delays. He also said that the development would alleviate the current difficulties and ensure a smoother experience for all stakeholders, adding that the failure to pay meant that the customer would not be attended to and the agents won't be able to take advantage of the situation due to the crowd. He stressed that the NIN SIM linkage should be a continuous process with no set deadline, arguing that the deadlines encourage unwholesome practices. National Inland Waterways Authority has commenced a sensitization and enforcement drive to ensure full compliance with the Waterways Transportation Code in Lagos jetties. The agency said that the move was aimed at improving safety and regulations on the state's waterways. Speaking during a sensitization exercise in Lagos recently, the Lagos area manager of the NIWA, Sarat Braimas, said that the agency would ensure that both captains, operators and passengers were fully aware of the new safety measures and the strict penalties for non-compliance, and explained that the code, which had been officially gazetted into law and was designed to address critical safety concerns across Lagos waterways. She spoke on the importance of making all waterway users aware of the new regulations, adding that the sensitization campaign focuses on communication, the major aspects of the code, which include mandatory registration of vessels, the ban on overloading of boats, and the compulsory use of life jackets for all passengers. The NIMA Lagos boss also said that those provisions which were previously issued as advisory warnings were now enforceable by law, warning that the enforcement would be strict with violators facing severe consequences, adding that the timing of the enforcement is particularly significant as it coincides with the Ember months, a period of increased waterway traffic due to seasonal festivities. And viewers, that's the size of the package. Thanks for joining us. I am Raymond Ken Mbata. Do well to join us and follow us on our social media platforms: Twitter, Atlantic TV Net; on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network; on Instagram, Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for Society Watch coming up next.